Ode to a Nightingale John Keates. My heart aches and a drowsy numbness pains my sense, as though of hemlock I had drunk, or emptied some dull opiate to the drains. 1 minute passed and lithe words had sunk. 'Tis not through envy of thy happy lot, but being too happy in thy happiness, that thou, light-winged dryad of the trees, in some melodious plot of beechen green and shadows numberless, sing'st of summer in full-throated ease. Oh, for a draught of vintage that hath been cooled a long age in the deep-delved earth, tasting of flora and the country green, dance and provincial song and sunburnt mirth. Oh, for a beaker full of the warm south, full of the true, the blushful hippocrene, with beaded bubbles winking at the brim and purple-stained mouth, that I might drink and leave the world unseen, and with thee fade away into the forest dim. Fade far away, dissolve, and quite forget what thou amongst the leaves hast never known, the weariness, the fever, and the fret. Here where men sit and hear each other groan, where palsy shakes a few sad last gray hairs, where youth grows pale and spectre thin and dies, where but to think is to be full of sorrow and leaden-eyed despairs, where beauty cannot keep her lustrous eyes, or new love pine at them beyond tomorrow. Away, away, for I will fly to thee, not charioted by Bacchus and his pards, but on the viewless wings of poesy. Though the dull brain perplexes and retards, already with thee, tender is the night, and haply the queen moon is on her throne, clustered around by her starry phase, but here there is no light, save what from heaven is with the breezes blown, through verdurous glooms and winding mossy ways. I cannot see what flowers are at my feet, nor what soft incense hangs upon the boughs, but in balmed darkness guess each sweet, wherewith the seasonable month endows, the grass, the thicket, and the fruit tree wild, white hawthorn and the pastoral galantine, fast fading violets covered up in leaves, and mid-May's eldest child, the coming musk rose full of dewy wine, the murmurous haunt of flies on summer eves. Darkling I listen, and for many a time I have been half in love with easeful death, called him soft names in many a mused rhyme, to take into the air my quiet breath. Now more than ever seems it rich to die, to cease upon the midnight with no pain, while thou art pouring forth thy soul abroad in such an ecstasy. Still wouldst thou sing, and I have ears in vain, to thy high requiem become a sod. Thou wast not born for death, immortal bird. No hungry generations tread thee down. The voice I hear this passing night was heard in ancient days by emperor and clown. Perhaps the self-same song that found a path through the sad heart of Ruth, when sick for home she stood in tears amid the alien corn, that same that oft times hath charmed magic casements opening on the foam of perilous sea in fairy lands forlorn. Forlorn, the very word is like a bell, to toll me back from thee to my sole self. Adieu, the fancy cannot cheat so well as she is fain to do, deceiving elf. Adieu, adieu. Thy plaintive anthem fades, past the near meadows, over the still streams, up the hillside, and now 'tis buried deep in the next valley glades. Was it a vision or a waking dream? Fled is that music. Do I wake or sleep? Annabel by Edgar Allan Poe. It was many and many a year ago, in a kingdom by the sea, that a maiden there lived whom you may know by the name of Annabel. And this maiden she lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me. I was a child, and she was a child, in this kingdom by the sea. But we loved with a love that was more than love, I and my Annabel, with a love that the winged seraphs of heaven coveted her and me. And this was the reason that long ago, in this kingdom by the sea, a wind blew out of a cloud, chilling my beautiful Annabel, so that our high-born kinsman came and bore her away from me, to shut her up in a sepulchre in this kingdom by the sea. The angels, not half so happy in heaven, went envying her and me. Yes, that was the reason, as all men know, in this kingdom by the sea, that the wind came out of the cloud by night, chilling and killing my Annabel. But our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we. And neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel, and the stars never rise but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel. And so, all the night tide, I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea.
Sonnet 18 by William Shakespeare. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometime too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair time declines, by chancel nature's changing course entwimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest, nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his shade, when in eternal lines to time thou growest. So long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee.
The Moose by Elizabeth Bishop. From narrow provinces of fish and bread and tea, home of the long tides where the bay leaves the sea twice a day and takes the herring's long rides.
Where if the river enters or retreats in a wall of brown foam, depends on if it meets the bay coming in, the bay not at home.
Where, silted red, sometimes the sun sets facing a red sea, and others, veins the flats lavender, rich mud and burning rivulets.
On red gravelly roads, down rows of sugar maples, past clapboard farmhouses and neat clapboard churches, bleached, ridged as clamshells, past twin silver birches.
Through the late afternoon, a bus journeys west, the windshield flashing pink, pink glancing off of metal, brushing the dented flank of blue, beat-up enamel.
Down hollows, up rises, and waits patient, while a lone traveler gives kisses and embraces to 7 relatives and a collie supervises.
Goodbye to the elms, to the farm, to the dog. The bus starts. The light grows richer. The fog, shifting, salty, thin, comes closing in.
Its cold, round crystals form and slide and settle in the white hen's feathers, in gray glazed cabbages on the cabbage roses and lupins like apostles.
The sweet peas cling to their wet, white string on the whitewashed fences. Bumblebees creep inside the foxgloves, and evening commences.
One stop at Bass River, then the economies. Lower, middle, upper. 5 islands, 5 houses, where a woman shakes a tablecloth out after supper.
A pale flickering, gone. The Tantramar marshes and the smell of salt hay. An iron bridge trembles and a loose plank rattles but doesn't give way.
On the left, a red light swims through the dark. A ship's port lantern, 2 rubber boots show. Illuminated, solemn, a dog gives 1 bark.
A woman climbs in with 2 market bags, brisk, freckled, elderly. A grand night. Yes, sir, all the way to Boston. She regards us amicably.
Moonlight as we enter the New Brunswick woods, hairy, scratchy, splintery. Moonlight and mist, caught in them like lamb's wool on bushes in a pasture.
The passengers lie back, snores, some long sighs. A dreamy divagation begins in the night, a gentle, auditory, slow hallucination.
In the creakings and noises, an old conversation, not concerning us, but recognizable somewhere back in the bus. Grandparents' voices.
Uninterruptedly talking. In eternity, names being mentioned. Things cleared up finally. What he said, what she said. Who got pensioned.
Deaths and sicknesses. The year he remarried. The year something happened. She died in childbirth. That was the son lost when the schooner foundered.
He took to drink, yes. She went to the bad. When Amos began to pray, even in the store, and finally the family had to put him away.
Yes, the peculiar affirmative. Yes, a sharp indrawn breath, half groan, half acceptance. That means life's like that. We know it. Also death.
Talking the way they talked in the old feather bed, peacefully, on and on. Dim lamplight in the hall. Down in the kitchen, the dog tucked in her shawl.
Now it's all right now, even to fall asleep, just as on all those nights. Suddenly the bus driver stops with a jolt, turns off his lights.
A moose has come out of the impenetrable wood and stands there, looms, rather, in the middle of the road. It approaches, it sniffs at the bus's hot hood.
Towering, antlerless, high as a church, homely as a house, or safe as a house, a man's voice assures us, perfectly harmless.
Some of the passengers exclaim in whispers, childishly, softly, "Sure, there are big creatures. It's awful plain. Look, it's a she."
Taking her time, she looks the bus over, grand, otherworldly. Why do we feel? We all feel this sweet sensation of joy.
"Curious creatures," says our quiet driver, rolling his R's. "Look at that, would you?" Then he shifts gears for a moment longer.
By craning backward, the moose can be seen in the moonlight macadam. Then there's a dim smell of moose, an acrid smell of gasoline. Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night by Dylan Thomas. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. The wise men at their end know dark is right. Because their words had forked no lightning, they do not go gentle into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight, and learned too late they grieved it on its way. Do not go gentle in that good night. Grave men near death, who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my father, there on a sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle in that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Song of Innisfail by Thomas Moore. They came from a land beyond the sea, and now o'er the western main set sail in their good ships gallantly from a sunny land of Spain. Oh, where's the isle we've seen in dreams, our destined home or grave? The sung they as by the morning that beams, they swept the Atlantic wave. And lo, where afar o'er ocean shines a sparkle of radiant green, as though in that deep lay emerald mines, whose light through the wave was seen. 'Tis Innisfail, 'tis Innisfail, rings o'er the echoing sea, while, bending to heaven, the warriors hail that home of the brave and free. Then turned they unto the eastern wave, where now their day god's eye a look of such sunny omen gave, as lighted up sea and sky, nor frown was seen through sky or sea, nor tear or leaf or sod, when first on their isle of destiny our great forefathers trod. See the Dawn from Heaven by Thomas Moore. See the dawn from heaven is breaking o'er our sight, and earth from sin awaking hails the light. See those groups of angels winging from the realms above, on their brows from Eden bringing wreaths of hope and love. Hark their hymns of glory pealing through the air, to mortal ears revealing who lies there. In that dwelling dark and lowly sleeps the heavenly Son, he whose home's above the holy, ever holy one.
Lines written in early spring by William Wordsworth. I heard 1,000 blended notes, while in a grove I sate reclined, in that sweet mood when pleasant thoughts bring sad thoughts to the mind. To her fair works did nature link the human soul that through me ran, and much it grieved my heart to think what man has made of man. Through primrose tufts in that green bower, the periwinkle trailed its wreaths, and 'tis my faith that every flower enjoys the air it breathes. The birds around me hopped and played, Their thoughts I cannot measure, but the least motion which they made, it seemed a thrill of pleasure. The budding twigs spread out their fan to catch the breezy air, and I must think, do all I can, that there was pleasure there. If this belief from heaven be sent, if such be nature's holy plan, have I not reason to lament what man has made of man?
The Drop That Wrestles in the Sea by Emily Dickinson. The drop that wrestles in the sea forgets her own locality as I toward thee. She knows herself an incense small, yet small she sighs, if all is all, how large her be. The ocean smiles at her conceit, but she, forgetting Aphrodite, pleads me? Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred, Lord Tennyson. Half a league, half a league, half a league onward, all in the valley of death rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade, charge for the guns, he said. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Forward the Light Brigade, was there a man dismayed? Not though the soldier knew someone had blundered. There's not to make reply, there's not to reason why, there's but to do and die. Into the valley of death rode the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon in front of them, volley and thundered. Stormed at with shot and shell, boldly they rode and well. Into the jaws of death, into the mouth of hell, rode the 600. Flashed all their sabers bare, flashed as they turned in air, sabering the gunners there, charging an army while all the world wondered. Plunged in the battery smoke, right through the line they broke. Cossack and Russian reeled from the saber stroke, shattered and sundered. Then they rode back, but not the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to left of them, cannon behind them, volleyed and thundered, stormed at with shot and shell, while horse and hero fell. They that had fought so well came through the jaws of death, back from the mouth of hell. All that was left of them left of 600. When can their glory fade? Oh, the wild charge they made. All the world wondered. Honor the charge they made. Honor the Light Brigade. Noble 600.
The Lady of Shalott by Alfred Lord Tennyson. On either side the river lie long fields of barley and of rye, that clothe the world and meet the sky, and through the field the road runs by to many towered Camelot. The yellow-leaved water lily, the green-sheathed daffodilly, tremble in the water chilly round about Shalott. Willows whiten, aspens shiver, the sunbeam showers break and quiver in the stream that runneth ever by the island in the river, flowing down to Camelot. 4 grey walls and 4 grey towers overlook a space of flowers, and the silent isle embowers the Lady of Shalott. Underneath the bearded barley, the reaper, reaping late and early, hears her ever chanting cheerly, like an angel singing clearly, o'er the stream of Camelot. Piling the sheaves in furrows airy, beneath the moon, the reaper weary, listening whispers, "'Tis the fairy Lady of Shalott." The little isle is all enrailed with a rose fence, and overtrailed with roses, by the marge unhailed, the shallop flitteth silken sailed, skimming down to Camelot. A pearl garland winds her head, she leaneth on a velvet bed, full royally apparelled, the Lady of Shalott. No time hath she to sport and play, a charmed web she weaves alway. A curse is on her if she stay her weaving, either night or day, to look down to Camelot. She knows not what the curse may be, therefore she weaveth steadily. Therefore no other care hath she, the Lady of Shalott. She lives with little joy or fear. Over the water running near, the sheep bell tinkles in her ear. Before her hangs a mirror clear, reflecting towered Camelot. And as the mazy web she whirls, she sees the surly village churls, and the red cloaks of market girls pass onward from Shalott. Sometimes a troop of damsels glad, an abbot on an ambling pad, sometimes a curly shepherd lad, or long-haired page in crimson clad, goes by to towered Camelot. And sometimes through the mirror blue the knights come riding 2 and 2. She hath no loyal knight and true, the Lady of Shalott. But in her web she still delights to weave the mirror's magic sights. For often through the silent nights a funeral with plumes and lights and music came from Camelot. Or when the moon was overhead, came 2 young lovers lately wed. "I am half sick of shadows," said the Lady of Shalott. A bow shot from her bower eaves, he rode between the barley sheaves. The sun came dazzling through the leaves, and flamed upon the brazen greaves of bold Sir Lancelot. A red-crossed knight forever kneeled to a lady in his shield, that sparkled on the yellow field beside remote Shalott. The gemmy bridle glittered free, like to some branch of stars we see, hung in the golden galaxy. The bridle bells rang merrily as he rode down from Camelot, and from his blazoned baldric slung a mighty silver bugle hung, and as he rode his armor rung beside remote Shalott. All in the blue unclouded weather, thick jeweled shone the saddle leather. The helmet and the helmet feather burned like one burning flame together as he rode down from Camelot. As often through the purple night, below the starry clusters bright, some bearded meteor trailing light moves over green Shalott. His broad clear brow in sunlight glowed, on burnished hooves his war horse trode, from underneath his helmet flowed his coal-black curls as on he rode down from Camelot. From the bank and from the river he flashed into the crystal mirror. Tira, lira, sang Sir Lancelot. She left the web, she left the loom, she made 3 paces through the room. She saw the water flower bloom, she saw the helmet and the plume. She looked down to Camelot. Out flew the web and floated wide. The mirror cracked from side to side. The curse is come upon me, cried the Lady of Shalott. In the stormy east wind straining, the pale yellow woods were waning. The broad stream in his banks complaining, heavily the low sky raining over towered Camelot. Outside the isle a shallow boat beneath a willow lay afloat. Below the carven stern she wrote, the Lady of Shalott. A cloud-white crown of pearl she dight, all raimented in snowy white, that loosely flew, her zone in sight, clasped with one blinding diamond bright, her wide eyes fixed on Camelot. Though the squally east wind keenly blew, with folded arms serenely by the water stood the queenly Lady of Shalott. With a steady, stony glance, like some bold seer in a trance, beholding all his own mischance, mute with a glassy countenance, she looked down to Camelot. It was the closing of the day. She loosed the chain, and down she lay. The broad stream bore her far away, the Lady of Shalott. As when to sailors while they roam by creeks and outfalls far from home, rising and dropping with the foam, from dying swans wild warblings come, blown shoreward, so to Camelot. Still, as the boat head wound along the willowy hills and fields among, they heard her chanting her death song, the Lady of Shalott. A long-drawn carol, mournful, holy, she chanted loudly, chanted lowly, till her eyes were darkened wholly, and her smooth face sharpened slowly, turned to towered Camelot. For ere she reached upon the tide, the first house by the waterside, singing in her song she died, the Lady of Shalott. Under tower and balcony, by garden wall and gallery, a pale, pale corpse she floated by, dead cold between the houses high, dead into towered Camelot. Knight and burgher, lord and dame, to the planked wharfage came. Below the stern they read her name, the Lady of Shalott. They crossed themselves, their stars they blessed, knight, minstrel, abbot, squire, and guest. There lay a parchment on her breast that puzzled more than all the rest, the well-fed wits at Camelot. The web was woven curiously, the charm is broken utterly. Draw near and fear not, this is I, the Lady of Shalott.
The Haunted Palace by Edgar Allan Poe. In the greenest of our valleys, by good angels tenanted, once a fair and stately palace, radiant palace, reared its head. In the monarch's thoughts' dominion it stood there. Never seraph spread opinion over fabric half so fair. Banners yellow, glorious, golden, on its roof did float and flow. This, all this, was in the olden time, long ago. And every gentle air that dallied in that sweet day, long the ramparts plumed and pallid, a winged odor went away. Wanderers in that happy valley through two luminous windows saw spirits moving musically to a lute's well-tuned law. Round about a throne were sitting Porphyrogeny, in state his glory well befitting. The ruler of the realm was seen, and all with pearl and ruby glowing was the fair palace door, through which came flowing, and sparkling evermore, a troop of echoes whose sweet duty was but to sing in voices of surpassing beauty the wit and wisdom of their king. But evil things in robes of sorrow assailed the monarch's high estate. Ah, let us mourn, for never morrow shall dawn upon him desolate. And round about his home the glory that blushed and bloomed is but a dim remembered story of the old time entombed. And travellers now within that valley through the red-litten windows see vast forms that move fantastically to a discordant melody, while like a ghastly rapid river through the pale door a hideous throng rush out forever, and laugh but smile no more.
To My Sister by William Wordsworth. It is the first mild day of March, each minute sweeter than before. The redbreast sings from the tall larch that stands beside our door. There is a blessing in the air, which seems a sense of joy to yield to the bare trees and mountains bare, and grass in the green field. My sister, 'tis a wish of mine, now that our morning meal is done, make haste, your morning task resign, come forth and feel the sun. Edward will come with you and pray, put on with speed your woodland dress, and bring no book, for this one day will give to idleness. No joyless forms shall regulate our living calendar. We from today, my friend, will date the opening of the year. Love, now a universal birth, from heart to heart is stealing, from earth to man, from man to earth, it is the hour of feeling. One moment now may give us more than years of toiling reason. Our minds shall drink at every pore the spirit of the season. Some silent laws our hearts will make, which they shall long obey. We for the year to come may take our temper from today. and from the blessed power that rolls about, below, above, we'll frame the measure of our souls, they shall be tuned to love. Then come, my sister, come, I pray, with speed put on your woodland dress, and bring no book, for this one day will give to idleness. It is a beauteous evening, calm and free, by William Wordsworth. It is a beauteous evening, calm and free. The holy time is quiet as a nun. Breathless with adoration, the broad sun is sinking down in its tranquility. The gentleness of heaven broods o'er the sea. Listen, the mighty being is awake, and doth with his eternal motion make a sound like thunder everlastingly. Dear child, dear girl, that walkest with me here, if thou appear untouched by solemn thought, thy nature is not therefore less divine. Thou liest in Abraham's bosom all the year, and worshipst at the temple's inner shrine, God being with thee when we know it not. you for listening to Rain in the Garden at the Albert Inn. If there are poems you would like us to read here, please join our Discord channel and let us know. May joy find you throughout this week. Goodbye.